Hello and welcome to the Tau Chain video update. This is the November update, and I'm here with the rest of the ID&I team. So without further ado, I will pass it over to Karim to give his update on, overview on the teams working this month. Cheers. Just a quick note before we get into it. We've had to record this over a couple of days, so you'll see some continuity with my beard getting longer and shorter at different points during the video. So don't worry about that. That just allows us to give you the most up-to-date video that we could possibly give. And yeah, on with the video. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Fola. Yes, this month of November has been characterized on two fronts, on TML and the Agoras Live. Lots of progress on both sides. On the TML side, we have done a lot of testing and benchmarking. Everybody pitched in. Both Ohad, Omar, Juan have been doing a lot of testing. For example, Tomasz has implemented an importer from DPPedia to TML, so we can import tens of thousands of real-life records and bring them into TML, execute queries against them. So that's been done successfully, while he also continued to work on the TML editor for the demo that you guys should have seen by now. Omar and Juan in particular worked on another library called TPTP, which is 1,000 Problems for Theorem Solvers. It's a very rich library of benchmark problems in logic. Not all of them very relevant to us, but we're working on importing the important parts. They also kept working on testing the proof of extraction, finishing debugging that part. Maurici, on his part, continued his very productive streak. He this month, other than helping with the testing, he implemented three distinct algorithms for minimizing and eliminating redundant rules, another algorithm for transforming first-order logic with TML into pure TML, and another algorithm to transform unsequenced transformations into sequenced transformations. So a lot of progress on the TML side. We wanted to emphasize, even though we were still working on second-order logic and other research type features, we're focusing on the testing part to in anticipation for a release soon. On the Agoras Live side, we're very, very close to wrapping up the first version. Andre and Moaz put the finishing touches on the website. In particular, Andre worked on implementing the strong data storage and symmetric encryption on the browser side. That in the future, that feature will be used to store the user's private key on the client side. And this is all part of the payment system for the Agoras Live, which is not an easy thing to do right now. We're working on integration with exchanges such as Whitebit and Bittrex, and we're having a lot of back and forth with them on the design and the workflow. We're trying to make it, of course, as easy as possible for our users, but they have some security concerns of their own. So that's the trade-offs that we're having to make. Finally, Ohad, Fola, and I are working on several strategic initiatives that perhaps we'll tell you more about next month. That's all for me.
All right, thank you very much, Karim. Really appreciate that. Let's put it over to Maurici for his update this month.
Hi, hi everyone. As Karim has mentioned, I was working on a few algorithms this month, and to go into a little bit more detail, I worked on conjunctive query containment algorithm, and also a conjunctive query with negation algorithm, which essentially are algorithms to tell whether if you've got two queries, does one do the results of are the results of one query a subset of the results of the other query? And basically, we can use this algorithm in order to eliminate redundant queries. So if one query is contained by another, then you can remove the redundant query. And also, if you've got one query, there may be some redundancy within it. So you may be able to use this algorithm in order to remove parts of a query without changing its meaning. I also worked on an algorithm, and basically, if we can reduce or minimize rules, then the solver will be able to compute the results of queries faster for the end user. Another algorithm that I worked on was one for finding homomorphisms between query bodies. So basically, this algorithm is just finding out whether one query, whether another query is a part of another query. So does one query fit into another query syntactically? And if we can figure out how different queries fit into each other, then we can do something like factorization of queries, where we essentially express one query, a part of one query using another query. And if we can do that, then again, we reduce the amount of work that the solver has to do, and the end result will be that the user gets faster results for their queries. Another algorithm which I worked on was one to convert from first order logic TML to pure TML. And this is now to enable users to interface with TML in a more convenient manner, in a manner which allows them to use the rules of first order logic, but then yet still be able to have the solver compute the correct results for them. And another algorithm which I worked on was one for sequencing transformations. And the essence behind that is that it's easier for developers to optimize TML queries if you're not always having to pay attention to the order in which things happen. So so that's exactly what we do. We allow developers to optimize TML queries without regard to order of execution, and then we automatically just sort out the order of execution afterwards, which should speed up development of TML optimizations. Other than that, I just did a few mathematical proofs in order to determine the lower bounds on the sizes of TML interpreters written in TML, so that we know what we should strive for, what is possible. That's about it for this month. Next month, I hope to start working on the binary decision trees, and some of the caching optimizations in there. Once again, in order to speed up the speed of the solver. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marisi. Really detailed and really impressive work done this month. I'm going to put it over to Umar for his update this month.
Hi, team. This month, after working over the regular expression feature, I moved into looking into how to extract the proofs properly. There were some features that were not working, so I started debugging that. And it is important because once we have a proof, we will also be able to extract the parse tree out of it also. So in the master branch, we have a few issues which took significant amount of time in debugging. I worked with Tomasz also to see what could be the reason for those bugs. So it works on non-recursive programs. You can extract the proof easily for simple programs, but for complex program with recursion, we are seeing faults and bugs. So that has taken most of my my time. Other than that, I've looked into the suitability of how we can look into TPT format and how we map into our format. for the first order logic. So there is quite a bit of similarity, and I think we will be able to get it translated. So the goal here would be to benefit as much as possible from whatever we are doing with our first order logic within TML. So if we can translate from TPT format directly to our first order logic format, then whatever transformations, processing we are doing to our first order logic within TML, all of that will be reused. So I haven't started working on it, but I just started looking into it. So most of my time have been into proof extraction and debugging. And I think in the next week or so, I will try to conclude and hopefully we get some results on the proof extraction. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Umar. What I'll do now is I will pass it over to Tomasz for his update this month.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So this month, as Graham said, I've done some work on the online editor regarding automatic deployment. So it's easier to keep it updated with the latest version of TML. I've created shell scripts to download and convert dbpedia files into TML. dbpedia is a RDF formatted data from Wikipedia. It will be useful for future benchmarking and adding RDF support into TML. I've also spent some time on how to do transformation of nested programs and program sequences into a single program. And lately I was trying to help Umar with the debugging of the bug in proof extraction. And that's all from me this month.
Right, excellent. Thank you very much, Tomasz. I'm going to pass it over to Killian for his update this month.
Yes, hello. Thank you. So the month started, or we've started with the Whitebit AMA with Andrew from Whitebit. Basically, there were a few community members who articulated doubts about, or like they were unwilling to use Whitebit due to also incidents on other exchanges where we previously were listed on. Our community basically never had any problems with Whitebit. So Andrew also came along from Whitebit, and he was very open to answer any possible question by the community with regards to Whitebit, and provided a lot of background information about the company and was very transparent. So we also had some positive feedback by the community to actually support Agoras trading on Whitebit due to that AMA. Then also I've done a little bit more follow-up with some professors in the field of KRR and finite model theory. Basically, it's currently we are at the stage where we are mostly intensifying existing relationships that resulted out of that outreach, and hopefully soon we will be able to announce more concrete details about certain partnerships that evolved from that. And yeah, this month also most of my time went into working on a presentation about IDNI, Tauchain, Agoras, that we can use for various purposes such as marketing or in conferences and for video creation. Yes, and I've also been refining the ambassador program a little bit more. I've created a list of content distribution channels where like the goal is to at some point have a highly active community core that is willing to use the listed content distribution channels to distribute existing content, but also content that is community generated. Yeah, and I've created a list of shareable content that already exists, and also a list of possible topics for blog articles that should hopefully will be utilized in the future for content creation by the community. I've also worked a little bit on creating a code of conduct to basically enable us to have a certain standard of what we expect from our community in terms of yeah, how people interact with each other. For example, we are totally against discrimination, hate speech, or sexual harassment, which should be obvious, but for some people it's not. So we want to make sure, especially when our community scales, that we have certain guidelines in place that we can follow along for making sure that our community behaves well. But also, obviously, that's up for community review. So once I have it in a more established way, I will share it with the community to give it a review. And then also last but not least, this month, the community member of the month is Jamie. So he receives the reward of 100 Agoras this month for his ongoing work on Tau Guide, as well as for actively contributing in the Telegram and Twitter discussions. So that's it from me so far. Thank you.
Thank you, Gillian. All righty, let's put it over to Moaz for his update this month.
Thank you for that. Yeah, so this month I've been very busy with working on polishing Agoras Live, the version where we hope to launch soon. So I worked on a couple of features that we should polish, and things like email template, and also things in profile, and other feature like search. So we didn't have a very solid search, so I designed that and also uploaded it to Andre. And other features that I think we should polish even further. So this is the side Agoras Live that we're launching soon. And there is another part, which is the design system and the components that we should use after we launch. So I've been working on that and also working on dispatching pages through this new design system that I designed. So yeah, this is for me working on the next version, or the version we should work on after we launch the first version of Agoras Live, and also working on polishing features that we have, or working on missing features in the current version we are launching in Agoras Live. And a small task on the website. It was 2 days ago. Yeah, this is the update from me. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Moaz. Just to kind of give a bit more context on that small task, we just added a small featured in section to the new website. When it launches, you'll be able to see some of the publications that have mentioned some of the products that we're involved in. So that was that. Okay, let's put it over to Andre for his update this month.
Hello everyone. Last month I was working on implementing our first approach to the payment system. It will use cryptocurrency exchanges for all the operations. It will allow users to easily deposit or withdraw money, or send money to each other with ease. Let me show you how it works on a simple example. Suppose we have a Whitebit account with some Agoras on it. And in order to connect to our platform, it needs API, of course, and API keys. Of course, we will make it automatically, but now I will show you how it works manually. It's a good example. Let's go for the API keys and choose trading and deposit withdrawal key and generate a new key. And of course, activate it. Now we go to our wallet. Suppose user clicks on deposit. It will lead user to cryptocurrency exchange form for depositing money. But prior to that, user will need to input his sensitive data. And all this data will be stored locally, encrypted using AES GCM encryption with SHA 256 hash. Let's enter our API keys from the Whitebit. This is our public key, and this is our secure key goes here. Yes, a very secure password to encrypt our local storage. And Yes, you see, it's a public key. It's another layer of encryption. This is asymmetric encryption using RSA OAEP encryption with SHA 512 length hash. Why do we need it? Because we want to securely exchange whatever sensitive information users want to exchange between each other. For example, payment codes, like the Whitebit has. So, by providing a public key to the other side, the other side can encrypt whatever they want securely to send you with your public key and send back to you. This is how it works. I'm sure you know, everyone knows how it works. So, this is our public key, this is our, yes, private key, and voila. Look here at the console, it's my debug console. It sends the request to the Whitebit using our newly entered API key and signs here it is, and signs the request using the secret key. The request itself is for balance, just for example. And we got the answer from the exchange with our balance is and with current rate of exchanging Agoras to US dollars. The same way it works for payment. User will generate a payment code from the Whitebit using API. He will get that code, and prior to calling to, for example, a teacher, he will send that payment code to the teacher, encrypting the code using teacher's public encryption key. And teacher will use that code he got from the student in Whitebit to get payment on his account. So that's pretty much for this month. I'm working hard on automate everything, and I hope I will be able to finish everything by the end of this year, as I told you. Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you very much, Andre. And what I'll do now is I'll pass it over to Juan for his update this month.
Thank you, Fola. Hi, everybody. As Karim mentioned and Umar also put in advance, we have been approaching the TP library in order to establish a set of problems from there to help us in verifying our resources, our first order logic resources, and also to use them as a baseline benchmark. We don't initially expect to compete against the, for example, C3 solver that we will be using as a reference for the verification. But we hope that this test suite will help us to gain more comprehension of our behaviors, our performance lags, and of course, in terms of better verifying the results that we are receiving from that, from our feature. Initially, we are addressing CNF and FOF formulas for TFF, which involves typed first order logic. I think we will still need to do some development and design in our system. And that's all. That's it from TP. And around the second order logic feature, we already mentioned that we have a very primitive approach, especially for Horn existential Horn second order logic. So we have been also approaching two optimization problems, min vertex and max cut, from the Ebbinghaus book, where we need to handle min and max quantifiers over relationships, over variable relationships. So that's that would be our target second use case for the second order logic feature that is looking forward to help us in the conception of our system. We also have on hold the graph isomorphism that we left it there due to some initial issues in our power set representation that it has already been very deeply addressed by OHAT. So I think in the midterm we should be also reach to a solution there, hopefully. Finally, on the Agoras live side, we have started with the new version of the payment system. As we mentioned before, we left the Lightning Network based implementation to move to ad hoc or custom design involving basically a micropayment channel as defined by Bitcoin. We're still talking about the Agoras tokens running on OmniLayer. And in this case, we are basing our payment channel for Agoras Live on a peer-to-peer connection between actual clients, browser-based clients, based from scratch on web RTC. That should help end users to actually exchange multi-signatures in order to found and close the payment channel according to their session. So this is very preliminary design, and we need to keep going, as also Karim has mentioned. There are several considerations to be done regarding the exchange gateways and so. This was just to share that we keep moving forward. We keep moving forward on that particular effort. So that's all by now.
Hi everyone, and from my end, the administrative tasks still continue at IDNI, so that's what I've been working on for the most part. But on top of that, I have also been working on the ERC20 swap and its feasibility. So we have decided to go ahead with that swap in accordance with what the community wished. So, you know, we've listened to you, and you know, this is what you wanted. So we've decided to go ahead and move to ERC20, which is coming soon. And there will be some swap partners involved to handle that. Now, this is going to be excluding the US. So, you know, anyone outside the US will be able to swap with one of our swap partners to the ERC20 token. And so we wouldn't be handling that swap ourselves, but a number of exchanges will be handling that swap. We have also hired Kane Davis as a designer to work on the IDNI logo and graphics and a refresh for Tau and Agoras. I'm really excited about that because he's very, very good, and it took us a long time to find a designer that we're happy with. There's actually a recommendation from Jamie, who won this month's Agoras prize, and it's a really, really good recommendation. So thank you very much, Jamie. On Agoras Live Legal, we've had some documentation drawn up from our legal firm, and also on Agoras Live, I've been liaising with Whitebit and another exchange for integration purposes. On top of that, we have added some new service providers just for the company, which makes our lives easier and much more efficient. So things will be moving much faster internally, which is great. And we're talking with a new exchange. I can't share those details just yet, but I will when that relationship is established. Also, yes, back to exchanges. We have been speaking with UKEX, which is the exchange which is buying out BSEX, and they will be listing our ERC20 token when it is available. All right, and that's it from us, and I'll leave it with Ahad to give you his update this month.
Yes, thank you very much, and hello everyone. I've been involved in a lot of the things that you hear about, and also with conversations with 3 professors and 1 graduate student about knowledge representation languages, especially at the scope of languages that may self-interpret, and also about solving second-order logic, and a lot of research that that came out of those conversations, and they basically approved my impression that second-order logic solver, as we speak about, doesn't really exist. Doesn't exist at all, and it will be a great innovation in the field of automated theory proving. In addition, I was also putting a lot of thought into the move to ERC20 token, so stay tuned regarding this point. And then basically that's all for this month.
All right, thank you, Ahad, and thank you to the IDNI team. And thank you to you guys for tuning in. As usual, you can find us in Telegram. We will have some updates on the exchange that we will have coming soon, and that will be posted in the Telegram channel. So keep an eye on that. Very excited about that one. And stay tuned for the Q&A. There's a lot of questions in the Q&A. We had around 10 to 15 questions, so this one's a long one, and a lot of really interesting questions were asked. So see you soon. Cheers. All right, and on to the Q&A questions. And this question is from Isotas, and they ask, why is the product required before going to ERC20 Agoras, but the Omni Agoras is okay without product? We could move to ERC20 Agoras, but the reason we hadn't done that is because the swap could violate US regulations that have come in recently. So in order to make sure that we could have passed those regulations, we did need a product available. So that's why we hadn't moved to ERC20 just as of yet. But as I mentioned before, earlier on in the video, that we are moving to ERC20 now, and we're just going to be moving the token holders, and allowing the swap to be done via token holders that aren't in the US. This question is from Redneve, and they ask, how will tauchain benefit from Agoras Live?
Agoras Live is an important part from the grand scheme of things of having a knowledge market, as explained in the white paper. But the reason we give it priority is to apparently meet regulatory requirements in the USA.
And this question is from Redneve. Will you give more in-depth analysis on development using Agoras Live, or give examples on how one can use the TML playground? It would be a great way to start feeding the platform with good quality content.
So the TML background is the first public demonstration of the TML language and its usefulness, and it's really a demo, the way to think of it. And you can see examples of some basic TML programs on the upper left corner of the screen. And there's at least like 8 examples in increasing difficulty. So it's a tutorial in TML that you can use to get started with. And yes, we agree that it would be a good way to start feeding the platform with good content, getting people to know TML.
Hi guys, that question was a little bit difficult to understand when we first read it. Obviously, some of these questions come in and they're not written in sort of native English, and a lot of misspellings and things like that we have to get over whilst we're reading, and it takes us a little while. We try to get through these questions, and yeah, we just have to, you know, try to understand as much as we can as to what the question is sometimes. But yes, both a TML demo on the IDE and an Agoras Live demo will come out when we are closer to release. So yes, that's something that we are definitely preparing to do, and it's in the plans. Now, this question is from Red, and they ask, I have heard the team only holds 1.5 million Agoras. This is very little for a budget. Why was this chosen so? And doesn't it make it more difficult for the rate of development and marketing to acquire a community for TML usage, thus feeding the code?
Yes, those 1.5 million Agoras, or really 3%, refer to tokens that the company will hold after the final Agoras coins will be ready, since we promised, and will of course fulfill, to burn all unsold coins once the final Agoras coin is ready. So we intend to sell also the unsold coins sometime in the future in order to fund the development. And indeed, those 3%, 1.5 million, are for after Agoras is ready.
Thank you, Ahad. And this question is from Red. I noticed with the latest AMA, $200 or 400 Agoras of value in Agoras was given away. Right after those transactions went through to the winners, the Agoras value fell from 50 cents levels to mid 20 cents levels. What is being done to fix the liquidity?
Well, to fix the liquidity, we can do only what we can do. We cannot manipulate the market, but we can continue fulfilling the promises.
Thank you very much, Ahad. Will Agoras also become the governance token of TauChain? Will we also see more use cases, applications on top of TauChain with other tokens for which the Agoras holders will receive airdrops in equivalent number to their holding?
The way we release Tau, it will come with no governance mechanism and with no coins, and it will all be up to the users. We cannot, on one hand, put a system of decentralized democracy on the table, and on the other hand, also set its rules and be the dictators. So it will all be up to the users.
And this question is from Red, and they ask, how big of a competitor is GPT-3 to us from OpenAI?
GPT-3 is about machine learning, and which is a kind of artificial intelligence which relies on probability and about trying to guess predictions, while Tau is based on completely different kind of call it artificial intelligence, which is logic. It has got nothing to do with probability. It is about absolute statements in the logic and knowledge representation languages.
Thank you very much, Ahad. And another question from Red, and they ask, is there any other blockchain project in development which impresses you, Ahad? And have you maybe researched a few of which you could deem as suitable candidates for a possible collaboration?
Yes, well, I admit that I didn't research most of the blockchain projects, especially not in the last very last years. There are just too many. There is nothing too exceptional that comes to my mind. I'm not aware of something that looks like a good candidate for collaboration, but maybe I'm wrong.
And this question is from Surya, and they ask, Dear Ahad, on a scale of 1 to 10, and 10 being extremely widely used and capable to use all the features of Tau, where will Agora's Live platform stand considering the other applications which are going to be built by you and the team in the future? And then secondly, on the second question, they ask, once Agora's Live is launched at the end of December, what's the second application on the roadmap and when is it likely to be launched?
Well, to start from the end, we will also release TML and also start working on a discussion platform, which brings me back to the first point. The discussion over Tau may take the form of formal language and may take the form of free language. The form of free language is what Agoras Live intends to supply. I think it will be too naive to think that, at least at the beginning, people will use mostly formal languages without any natural language. So I believe that it will be that freestyle kind of knowledge will be widely used over the platform.
And this question is from Reddit Questions, and they ask, how do you manage the mismatch between formal logic and not just the way people speak, but the way people think?
Well, I don't claim to be able to close this gap or to even tell what is exactly this mismatch. But Tau is not only a self-defining system, a system that is defined by its users. Also, the language is defined by the languages are defined by the users, and by that evolve with time. So I think that with time, the formal languages over Tau will become more and more close to the way humans use them.
Thank you, Ahad. And it's another question from Reddit Questions. They have 4 in total. With such a flexible translation system, what constraints do you put in place to make sure that things are still comprehensible? For example, if I translate lambda calculus to a Turing machine program, it's difficult to make sense of the result. This has long been a problem with powerful metaprogramming systems.
There is a whole field about knowledge representation languages, which we call for short KRR, knowledge representation and reasoning. Recently, we started cooperating with one of the leading researchers in this field. And there is already a lot of thought by the academic community put into how to encode knowledge. And we definitely go this way. And as I said before, in the answer to the previous question, this will also evolve with time. We don't claim to have a complete solution, easy solution for everything. But the whole point of Tau is to evolve.
And another question from Reddit Questions. And they ask, how does the system handle rich proofs? Formalizing and proving have been worked on for years, with it still being rather difficult and needing quite powerful languages to express proofs naturally.
Everyday knowledge, discussion, subject and issues, proofs and arguments are not so long and difficult as in mathematics. You know, there is a formal proof that of some theorem in mathematics that only a computer could find, and it takes 2 terabytes. But we don't give social, political, and so on arguments that take 2 terabytes. Mathematics is intended to deal with such complex fields of knowledge, but we don't see them in everyday life.
And the 4th question from Reddit Questions is, what is the motivation for developers to start using TML now? Binary notation was known to Leibniz in the 1600s, but didn't get much practical application until the development of computer arithmetic, for example.
TML is yet to be developed very much, but if to speak about TML as it is right now, in many cases, it is much easier to express in a much shorter way what we want the machine to do. For example, the use of first-order logic makes things really much simpler, way more than other common programming languages.
And this next question is from Barry, and he asks, is the 15% bonus still planned for Agoras, for holders of Agoras that haven't moved their tokens since the 1st of August 2017?
Yes, well, we cannot take a promise back. What promise is promised?
This next question is from coindab.com. And they ask, when mainnet?
Okay, so currently we're working on putting the finishing touches on Agoras Live. That should be done at the end of this year. Then on the roadmap next is TML 1.0. We've recently put out the demo, like I said earlier. We'll probably wait to get some user feedback on TML 1.0. Then depending on how that goes, that will determine our time frame for mainnet.
And this next question is from Demon. Do you already have some ideas of who is going to use the Agoras Live platform? Who are the early adopters of the platform and how you are planning to reach out to them?
So who is going to use Agoras Live platform? Because I'm really trying to make this platform easy to use, and we all trying to make it easy to use. This platform can be used by anyone who has some knowledge, and we all have had some knowledge, yes? For example, language teachers, software developers, veterinarians, doctors, psychiatrists, corporate law jurists, tax advisors, cooks, or maybe mothers who wanted to share their knowledge how to handle children, etc., etc.
So initially our outreach will happen through media outlets. I'm trying to get coverage in respected media outlets, first in the cryptocurrency and blockchain space, because they kind of already understand our product. And second, once we have identified specific verticals of professionals that are highly looking for a solution that we offer, like for example coaches who due to COVID-19 currently cannot meet their potential customers directly, then we will focus outreach more directly towards those specific verticals.
And this question is by Red, and they ask, I read last year that the community already made the proposal to, in the meantime, have the Agoras token switched to ERC20, yet it was vetoed upon by the team back then. Why are we doing it now? Aren't we closer to a mainnet release right now? So we're not so close to the mainnet release right now, and as the community wished, we are now moving to the ERC20, though we are excluding this time the US as a jurisdiction for that can be allowed to swap. So previously we were considering the option to have everyone swap, but now we are just having an excluded US swap for the ERC20 token that is coming soon. And this next question is from Red, and they ask, are the tauchain website revamp and new logo still in the works? When can we expect this to launch? Yes, it is still in the works. We've been working on this for a little while now. But when I say working on it, it hasn't actually been designed just yet. We've actually been more mapping out how we want things to look and designing, coming up with the ideas of what we want and trying to find the right designer for that. It's taken us a little while to do that because we want to make sure that we do things properly this time. We have hired a designer now who was recommended to us by one of the community members, Jamie. His name is Kane. I believe it's Kane Davis surname. A very, very good designer, and we're very happy with him, happy to have him on board. So he's come on board recently. And we do have a sort of shell of the website design in terms of how we want things to be. But now it's a case of having this logo created and the Tau and Agoras logos created, and then the website sort of generated with all the graphics that we want as well. So the first step was for us to really think about how we wanted things to look, and not how we wanted things to look, but the impression that we wanted to give, and that took us a while because we don't just want a logo, any logo. We've had designers come in and just create us any logo. We've actually had many logos before, but this time we wanted to do things properly and in a much more substantial way. This question is from Tao, and they ask, is there already development happening on the blockchain side of the project? What is the ETA on the mainnet release?
Yes, so as we mentioned earlier, our next release is going to be Tau or TML 1.0, and we're putting it out to the user base, to the community, and we're waiting for feedback on that to basically start the development on the Tau chain mainnet. But we don't have a definitive release date yet.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to the update this month. Again, you can find us in Telegram. You can find us on Twitter. On Twitter, we are tauchain.org. And don't forget to join the Discord, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, do all the good things. We've got some great updates coming in the December update that are already in the works. So good things coming. And yeah, we'll give you hopefully some sort of some good updates between now and then. All right. Thank you. Cheers. Bye.